So it's been another turbulent day in the recent history of the party, hasn't it? Ernie Warrender unsuccessfully fought Weston-super-Mayor for UKIP at the last election, but joins us on the programme now. Hi, Ernie.
Yeah, hi Laura.
So what do you make of today's events then in Strasbourg?
Well, to be honest, not a vast amount because I probably know as much as you, but firstly and foremost, to everyone in the Southwest who supports Stephen and his wife Fiona, thanks for giving this opportunity to just, say he is fine, he's okay. I've now had messages from him, he's okay, he's up and about, he is being held in overnight for observation, and I think that's the key crucial thing here.
Do you know him personally?
I've met Stephen a couple of times, spoken to him, and, that's the nice thing about UKIP. These people are approachable. Another person, Paul Nuttall, I've spoken with Paul on many occasions. There's some good people in UKIP.
Yeah. So you presumably think that he would be a good leader if he was still prepared to stand after all this?
I think, we had poor old Nigel in his plane crash. We do seem to attract it a little bit. Stephen is eminently qualified. He is a good guy. He's a straight talker, as is Paul Nuttall, as were the people who stood at the last election. There isn't a shortage of talent in UKIP. Probably apart from me.
You say, look, the party's got good people in it. They're very approachable.
Yeah.
But the headline is that this has happened after an altercation in the party, and actually, it's not sounding like a very nice party.
That's the headline. I mean, like I said to you, it's probably going to be one of those occasions where the straight-talking party probably hasn't got much to say at the moment because I genuinely don't know the facts. I mean, there is this being reported, and with the greatest respect to the newspapers, I think they once reported that Elvis was in a chip shop. So I'd like to see some more facts before I do make any comments.
Well, let's talk about someone else then. What about Diane James, who stood down only 18 days after being in the job?
Yeah, I was disappointed with that because Diane... I think at the moment there's a massive upheaval in politics. Not just UKIP. I mean, you've got Labour moderates, people like Barry Kirby, deputy leader in Gloucester, standing down. You've got the Labour leader in Portsmouth. There's a huge upheaval going on in British politics, probably because of UKIP, to be brutally frank. We have finally got the people's voice heard. I mean, 4 million people got their voice heard. And I think, to be honest, Laura, you've got two types of opposition. You've got Labour, who basically have got no respect for the country. And I think the British working person they purport to represent is patriotic. And when their leader says it's funny not to sing the national anthem, when they support the European Union, which compressed British workers' wages, I don't think that's opposition. When you look at what the Tories are doing now...
Ernie, can I just bring you back, though? You're doing a good job of deflecting, but
not bad.
I'm trying to ask you about Diane James and actually how the party UKIP actually looks like it's a shambles, it's in disarray, that actually she didn't have a pleasant experience. And so, 18 days in the job and then she's gone. Then you have headlines about an altercation. It doesn't look good.
It was Labour's turn a couple of weeks ago. It's our turn now, I guess. I think what Diane was trying to do was... We've come a long way in a short period of time and you get growing pains. We are a party, we're an active party, we're a vociferous party. Diane, again, I haven't got all the reasons why. Possibly we have, I believe, and I don't mind being a bit controversial, we have an outdated system which I think we plagiarised from Labour of an NEC.
So what do you mean by, just to cut to the chase, what do you mean by that? What are you saying is going on?
I think that NECs per se do not seem to represent the will of the members. And I myself have put forward that we have a national chairperson's executive made up of your branch chairman, goes to your county chairman, raises issues, and they raise it all the way through via a regional chairman. And that way the voice of the genuine party gets heard, whereas the national executives, not just with us, but I think in Labour, are susceptible to hijack.
So you think that the committee that runs UKIP at the moment has been hijacked, and that's the problem?
Well, I didn't say that exactly, but they are susceptible to it, and I'm a Democrat. I believe in the voice of the people, and I believe that the people who want things done in UKIP should have their voice heard, as the people in Great Britain eventually had their voice heard, Laura.
So who's hijacked it?
Don't know at this moment in time. I mean, there's various rumours go around the place, but at the end of the day, the NEC is not as accountable as I feel a national chairman's executive and chairperson's executive would be, because when I fought in Western, you mentioned Western, it wasn't that unsuccessful, you know. We got 9,500 people to vote for us, and they did vote 52% to come out, so it wasn't that unsuccessful. We got a brilliant lady chair there, Anita Johns, and she's actually a councillor for us. And there is some real talent that has percolated through. I feel the party needs to change. It needs to evolution, not revolution. Though.
Yeah, but it is a challenge, though, if it can't actually keep its leader.
It is. I mean, look, as I say, it was Labour's turn a month ago, and Jeremy Corbyn stuck it out. He stuck it out for better or for worse. Diane decided that, and it is an awful job. I mean, you know, let's make no bones about it, Laura. I mean, I stood in Bath in 2010. I did get called some unpleasant things, but it's water off a duck's back. And I think some people are more sensitive than me, and there's a few people who probably agree with that.
So Nigel Farage has stepped in. He is the interim leader. Do you think he'd return full-time?
Do you know what? It's really funny, because you remember last time he stood down and then everyone said, oh, you know, Nigel, come back. And you know, the media sort of said, oh, typical. In business, if you lose your leading talent, you move heaven and earth to say to them, look, please don't leave. What do you want? Etc., etc. In politics, it seems that the media want us to say, oh, get rid of the football manager, get rid of this.
What about you? I'm asking you.
Oh, listen, Nigel's a legend. I think, to be brutally frank, that the establishment should put him in the House of Lords before he gets himself elected to the House of Commons and causes havoc. That's my opinion of Nigel. He has caused a revolution in British politics. I don't think anybody, love him or hate him, would disagree with that.
OK, so given where we are now and given Brexit, there will be people who are listening just thinking, well, what is the point of UKIP now anyway?
That's funny enough, that is a question I've been asked, Laura, and as I said to you, I want a party of opposition that genuinely brings the government, who are completely divorced with their bunch of old Etonians, completely divorced, the propoles I call them, professional politicians. We have made them give the British people a vote on the EU, and the British people spoke. We have now said to them, British people are fed up with an education system that sees our kids off the scale now. We're off the scale in the top-ranking education systems. So now suddenly they think, oh, OK, maybe we'd better do this, grammar schools. We have long said our armed forces deserve respect, and they have been treated shabbily. Suddenly, the government thinks, oh, blimey, we'd better listen. That is the job of a party in opposition, not to go round not singing the national anthem because they think it's funny, subscribing to the EU, which compressed British workers' wages. And I think that's where UKIP is going. And wait till the next election.
Well, but also providing that you can keep the people that you view as talented people, that they don't decide that they'll go and join the Conservatives instead, because there's lots of talk about that.
Well, no, there is, and I'm glad you raised that. I can see you shuddering. It's a two-way street. We've got an absolutely brilliant guy called Wolf. He's a 29-year-old teacher, and here's a plug. He's standing in the Long Levens by-election for UKIP now. He was in the Tories, and he said, I just don't like it. It just isn't me. And this is a real person. He's a 29-year-old teacher. He was a Tory, and he said, I've had enough. So there is, as I said to you, there is movement. There's a revolution, a shake-up in British politics. There's no doubt about it. And,
all right, Ernie. It's been good to talk to you. Thank you.
Oh, listen, Laura, thanks ever so much.
Thanks for coming on the programme. All the best.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Ernie Warrender there, who fought for Western-super-Mayor for UKIP at the last election, giving his take on everything that's been happening with UKIP over the last few days.